Just a few weeks ago,
a few weeks ago,
Lula da Silva, the Brazilian president, and Erdogan, the Turkish premier, went to Iran and they made a deal with a guy that is hated by the Western press. They made a deal with Iran for a uranium swap. They were castigated for it. Why? These are two regional powers, and all our columnists are telling us that Brazil and Turkey have no business interfering. This is unilateralism. This is America saying, we dictate the terms of the world. The UN will vote with us. If not, we're going to go anyway and do it. This is what Bush said originally about the UN.
Oliver, is Wall Street perhaps the statement you're trying to make about where our generation is going?
Yeah, Wall Street's got a lot to do with it because it's part of the super corporation.
I mean,
the banks are so big, they're too big. The Volcker rule, I'm all for the Volcker rule. I hope they pass it tomorrow, and they're going to fight for that. Chris Dodd's against it, but thank God we got this guy Barney Frank. He's digging in.
Did we become a generation of greed? I mean,
yeah, we sold out.
Why though? We
Consumerism,
started out as protesters.
Consumerism. We spent too much.
We started out being about something.
No, we didn't. We had, when the World War II ended, we had, I think, 5% of the world's population and 50% of the energy. Now we have 25%.
Talk about when Vietnam ended.
What?
When Vietnam ended and you were in your 20s or maybe almost 30.
Yeah.
And,
no, I was in my 30s, yeah.
You were in your 30s?
No, 20s, yeah.
20s. Yeah, I think you were in your 20s. And we were at a fork in the road, this generation, where they could have gone. And it seems that they went toward greed.
Yeah.
And that's what you say.
Yeah, I don't know what you call Vietnam, but Vietnam is like it's genocide, essentially. We committed genocide, and we kept our eyes closed, and we didn't apologize, and then we went on and we did more. We trashed the rest of everything. We trashed our system. We trashed the concept of not invading other countries. The concept of we are scared of our enemies, so scared of everybody that we got to go invade Grenada and call it an invasion. We got to go and invade Panama, which we have no right to do, and the UN doesn't allow us to. We got to invade Nicaragua. We supported the countries. We kept doing this and doing it and doing it. When do we end? And you talk about now, it's the greed of Gordon Gekko in 1987 became the banks of 2008.
Are you done tinkering with Wall Street?
Tinkering, yes, I tweeted.
You tweeted after Cannes. What did you feel you need? Because you got pretty strong response in Cannes, I thought.
Yeah.
And what did you think
you
needed?
Very good. No, I just wanted to make it better. There's a few things at the end I wanted to fix.
And you're happy with it now?
Yeah.
When will you start? When it opens in September, correct?
September 23.
September 23, and you're happy about it. Obviously, if you're done tweeting. Now, I happen to be a huge fan of J.D. McDonald. I read every one of the Travis McGee books.
You're well informed.
And so even before I knew about you. But is it true that you're going to be doing Travis McGee?
We're developing it. I always go cautious there because sometimes you develop 3-4 things.
But you have Leo DiCaprio attached to it, right?
He's attached, yeah.
So that's a good thing. That generally means because it's got to be just impossible to get movies made today that are about something.
It's lighter. It's not about some of these concerns we talked about, but it's about a very interesting.
Okay.
John D. McDonald's a great writer. I've done those kind of movies. You ever see U-Turn? I'm sure you loved it.
Yes, yeah. No, Oliver,
U-Turn is your kind of movie.
I love
Natural Born Killers. I thought you'd like.
You've got this thing with women that I'm waiting for you to do a women's picture. Not quite George Cukor, but
what about Heaven and Earth?
It is, but she's so strong, and it's such a struggle. And I mean, that woman never has a day when the world's not landing on her. And there are some women that it goes a little better for. That's all. I mean, it's like are you?
You want me to do Prada? The
Streep?
Prada wears green.
I wonder why haven't you worked with Jane Fonda?
I like Meryl. I almost worked with her on Evita. I had her ready to go.
Yeah, I think you two would be, and it's Jane Fonda. I'm just wondering.
Jane is great.
Why haven't you two intersected? Except politically.
She retired when I was coming on.
You got to bring her back out. And another one I would expect, because of the machismo in your films, I would expect to see Russell Crowe in something with you. Yes? No?
Yeah, no, they're all great actors. I enjoyed it. It falls on timing and subject matter, and they're often doing something else and blah, blah, blah.
And I don't know, how do you feel? I mean, what is it like to be the kind of motion picture creator that you are in an era when films open? It's all about the opening weekend. It's all about the teen audience.
It's very tough, yeah. I think cable television is good for people like me because, you can do things that are more adventurous and under a smaller scope, but more people see it actually with cable.
you came in here exhausted, and now you've exhausted me, but it's good. I'm not complaining. But since our time is running down, I wanted to bring up somebody who was was the first person I started talking to about doing an interview with you about 5 years ago, and that's a man named Stephen Rivers, who just died this week. And I thought maybe you would talk about Stephen for a moment. Far better you tell people about him than me.
No, Stephen was a publicist, a political publicist with Washington ties. I knew him in the Hollywood part of his life when he was came in as a rescue operation when we brought out JFK. We were so attacked on so many corners that my agent at the time suggested we talked to Steve, and he helped us enormously in Washington. We fought back as best we could. We hired Frank Mankiewicz, who had been Bobby Kennedy's press secretary. He was very close to Steve, and Steve worked like a dog all through those years.
You know, he started out with that other Chavez, Cesar Chavez, working with
That's
the
right,
farm
he did.
workers
Cesar
union.
Chavez. He was tight with Jane Fonda and all. No, he was a liberal, a born again. Deep-rooted liberal. I come from conservative roots, so he was a different. But he was very much in touch, in love with the Kennedys, and he died. He died gradually, but I have to say, his last year of life, he was extremely. It was a very painful cancer, and he was so helpful. He would send out emails to friends, and he'd always advise them.
You two went to Cuba together more than once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very big for him, I read.
And up until the last few days, I was in South America a few weeks ago, and I thought I'd see him one more time when I got back. And when I got back, he'd passed quickly. But I was grateful for him because it was painful. But he kept up a spirit that was.
And he served a role out there for people like you that not many people serve. I would imagine that there's a huge void.
It was hard for him because the Hollywood people didn't take to him.
But he understood Washington.
He understood Washington.
And that's a hard person to find out there.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the two sometimes they don't. It's a strange relationship.
Are you going to be happy to get out of town?
No, I accept Washington is the center of our empire, and if anything can happen to change the neuro system here, it would be great, wouldn't it? I mean, there are good people. I'm going to meet with Alan Grayson later today. He's a representative from Florida, outspoken, hasn't changed his point of view about war, says it all.
So you're going up to the Hill?
No, he's going to come to a hotel somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so
he's running in Florida in a Republican majority district, and he's a Democrat.
Yeah. You didn't get invited to the White House this time, but maybe when Wall Street comes out, a big commercial hit, then you might get invited over a screening.
It's not going to make my day either way.
And then you can slide a copy of South of the Border.
Even when Clinton was in office after JFK, I was so controversial that I got invited, but I had to go in the back so nobody would.
But you got in, right? Does it matter how you get in?
Well, they don't want anybody to see me going.
Right, exactly. Well,
no pictures with the president except private ones.
Oh no!
I mean, it's
so for all
crazy.
we know, you did see him this trip.
Well, I wish Obama would come out and just say, these are real. I like these people, and he needs to find.
There's first term, and then there's second term.
I like Kennedy.
And they have different models for each. You know that. This has been great. You're done. You're free to go around the planet now. Come on, Oliver.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Karen.
It's been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.